The holidays are approaching, or might already be here, or may have already passed. I don't know when you're watching this, but what I do know is that today on gen-EAT-alogy, we're making Pizza Scima, a simple and delicious flatbread from the Abruzzo region of Italy that I think would make a perfect addition to your holiday charcuterie, salumi, or meat and cheese board. Abruzzo is just an amazing part of Italy. Jess and I actually went there on our honeymoon last year and had an awesome time exploring the towns and villages where her ancestors lived before immigrating to the US. And while the landscape was gorgeous, the people were fantastic, you cannot talk about Abruzzo without talking about the food. You've got arrosticini, these mad delicious roasted lamb skewers, spaghetti alla chitarra con la pallotine, which is like the old country ancestor of spaghetti and meatballs, fantastic local wines, plus Abruzzo is the truffle and saffron capital of Italy. Abruzzese cuisine is quintessential Italian, straightforward and delicious, including the bread we're making today, Pizza Scima. Of course, this isn't a pizza like most people would think of a pizza today with like tomatoes and basil, etc. But in some parts of Italy, the term pizza refers to focaccias, other breads, as well as the pizza. I don't really have a lot of history on Pizza Scima, and sometimes that happens. Like some regional Italian specialties, I wasn't able to find any written recipes until well into the 20th century. But what I can tell you is that Pizza Scima is the invention of Jewish settlers who moved to the Chieti province of southern Abruzzo between the 13th and 17th centuries and brought a tradition of making unleavened breads with them. I can also tell you that the name Pizza Scima translates to silly pizza, which might make it the world's first crazy bread.
Pizza.
Although actually the name is probably an evolution of pizza acime, which would mean unleavened pizza in the local dialect, and it's frankly a more descriptive name than silly pizza, but I guess Pizza Scima was more fun to say. But that's enough about that. To make this silly pizza, you'll need 350 grams or about 2 3/4 cups type 00 flour, plus extra for kneading the dough. All-purpose flour or bread flour will work too. Traditionally, Pizza Scima is made with Solina wheat flour. It's a wheat that's indigenous to Abruzzo, but it's nearly impossible to get in the US without spending a lot of money, so 200 milliliters or a little less than 3/4 cups dry Italian white wine. I'm using a Trebbiano di Abruzzo, but good Trebbianos are apparently hard to find in the US, so if you can't get one near you, Pinot Grigio works too. And there are some parts of Abruzzo where traditional Pizza Scima is not made with wine, but with water, or equal parts water and wine. So if you don't want to use wine, you can go ahead and use water. 100 milliliters or a little less than 1/2 of a cup of extra virgin olive oil, plus some extra for brushing on top of the bread. 1/2 teaspoon regular salt, coarse or kosher salt for topping. You can actually add more than just salt to the bread if you want. You can try out different herbs like rosemary or oregano either on top or mixed into the dough. The kind of beauty of a simple bread like this is you can really experiment with different herbs and spices and see what happens. And making the Pizza Scima is brilliantly straightforward. Preheat your oven to 450 degrees Fahrenheit or 230 degrees Celsius. Put the flour into a bowl, or on your countertop if you're feeling real old school, and form a well in the center. Add the salt, olive oil, and wine and mix together into the flour to form a soft dough. Sprinkle some of the flour onto your work surface and keep kneading for about 5 minutes or until the dough is pretty smooth. You can totally do this all using a stand mixer and a dough hook as well if you want. Roll out the dough into a circle, or at least roughly a circle, about 1.5 centimeters thick. That's a little over 1/2 inch. Transfer the dough to a parchment-lined baking sheet, or, if you want to be smarter than me, roll out the dough onto a piece of parchment and then transfer it all at once to a baking sheet. Traditionally, Pizza Scima is cooked on a hearth under a large copper cover, and then embers are placed on top for even cooking. If for some reason you have the kitchen, the tools, and the urge to do so, go for it. For the rest of us, just use a standard oven. With a sharp knife, make diamond-shaped cuts across the surface of the dough. These aren't just for aesthetics, they actually serve a very useful purpose. And apparently my knife needs sharpening. Brush the dough with plenty of olive oil, sprinkle with kosher or coarse salt. Bake on the lowest rack of the oven for 12 minutes, and then move to the middle rack and bake for another 15 minutes, or until the bread is nicely browned. If it needs more time, lower the temperature to 355 degrees Fahrenheit or 180 degrees Celsius and cook for another 10 minutes. Once it's done, you can brush on a little more olive oil as well. More olive oil never hurt nobody. And now you see what the cuts are for and why Pizza Scima is perfect for an appetizer or charcuterie board. You can just break off a piece, dip it into some salsa verde if you wish, eat it with some meat and cheese if you wish, or however you want if you wish. The texture is kind of like something between a shortbread and a focaccia, but obviously not like sweet like a shortbread cookie. You don't really taste like wine, but I think it adds that kind of bready flavor that you usually get from yeast in a leavened bread. I already know for sure this is going into my regular rotation. Thank you so much for watching. Please, if you give the recipe a try, let me know how it turned out in the comments. And if you liked the video, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time on Gen-EAT-alogy.